And we started with a couple of games on Saturday. It was Rochdale 32, Lee 54 in a high-scoring game that went the way you would expect in the end. A line on Lee, actually, that came through later on today, but it didn't affect this game as such. But Acton has been banned for 7 games for a bit of a high elbow. Bit of typical fuggery from him, unfortunately, and so that's going to see him miss most of the rest of the season wherever Lee end up. Toronto 64, Batley 18. We had some input on this one, which was obviously televised through Premier Sports. What did Brian have to say?
Brian Davies says, it looks like a routine walkover for Toronto, but a different attitude by Batley made the second half much more interesting. Scoops from dummy half and a constant offload game created lots of troubles for the Wolfpack, but ultimately they simply outscored the Dogs. Great 30-10 from Briley was the play of the game. It'd be fascinating to see if Super League clubs travel to Toronto confident or with the usual victim mentality of most clubs to date.
It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, there's all this nonsense about Toronto might not be in Super League. I don't see that happening, but I think it's the Super League clubs wanting to sort of stamp their own kind of agenda on things and make sure that Toronto don't get the nice warm welcome that they've had in the other divisions, where they've been maybe a boost to those competitions, even more so than they might be to some of the Super League clubs who might feel threatened by them there. But yeah, did you see any of this at all?
I haven't. It's still on the plan to watch. And I know that Batley had re-registered Danny Morn for this game, and obviously he's been retired for a little bit.
Yes.
So they were struggling for players. I think just from a fitness point of view, rather than a criminal record point of view.
I saw some Batley fans in the airport on Friday morning. So a few Batley fans at least went over, so I hope they enjoyed their time. On to Sunday's games. Sheffield 30, Dewsbury 28. Really, close score, big one in terms of the bottom end of that table. Big win for Sheffield, who've had some potentially fallouts over the ground situation, so that's not ideal. We've had enough of that, surely. I hope that gets resolved. Swinton took a hammering at the hands of Featherstone. It was 60 points to 4 to Rovers there over the Lions. Biggest game of the week, most significant game of the week was down in Ealing, and it finished London 20, Halifax 18. Paul Chamberlain got in touch in this one.
He did, so he said, I couldn't see the game due to work travel, but a fantastic result for London on the back of the late draw at Toulouse. This really keeps them in with the shout of top 4. Fev versus London and Fax versus Toulouse should be great games next week. As has been often said, the RFL and Sky have really missed a trick in not showing some of these games.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. You'd think that they'd want to pull out some of these games for the television cameras. It's very interesting stuff, and well done to London for picking up a crucial win. They've found something as the season edges on towards the sort of later stages. I'm just going to have a look and see that Elwell Pelissier did play in this one. He actually started the game. So I don't know how much of a factor he was, but he played. And then finally, Barrow 6, Toulouse 72. Barrow's woes continue. It's really been a troubling time for them. But a couple of another suspension note, sorry. Toulouse are going to lose Reece Curran, who's a big player for them in that back row, for 4 games suspended, as well as Lee losing Acton for a few games. So that may well have an influence on things. In terms of the table, Toronto stay well clear at the top. Below them, though, it gets interesting. Toulouse have 31 and are on a points difference of +6, 468. Featherstone have 30 and are on +388. London have 29 and are on +411. So Featherstone and Toulouse, with those big wins, taking a bit of a chunk out of that situation on the points difference that previously London were dominating on. Halifax, they're 5th. They've also got 29 points, but are only at +190 in points difference. Lee in 6th have 28 on 291, but with their remaining games are still possibly favourites to go up. Swinton and Sheffield both at home is their 2 remaining games. We'll talk a little bit more about who we think is going to be in the top 4 in the Championship when we get on to the games of the week there, because it involves 4 of the 5 remaining contenders for those positions, with Toronto already confirmed there. Into League One, it was round 17 there. Keighley 15, Oldham 8 was a Friday night game. big result for Keighley Cougars in that one. London Scholars 20 pushed York City Knights all the way, 22 for the York side, so squeaked out a win there as they chased down the Bulls. Hunslet 16, Bradford 36. Someone got in touch on this one.
Yeah, so Brian said, tight first half with Bradford's indiscipline providing possession and points to Hunslet. The Bulls' speed of thought and play was the difference. Hunslet made them sweat all the way. Next week, Bulls versus York could be an absolute cracker if York are on form. Yeah, it's a big one. That's for certain.
What did you make of Bradford's performance?
It was very similar to the other two games we played against Hunslet, even though the weather was completely different. Because the cup game was played in a monsoon, basically. Or certainly the pitch was a paddy field, and obviously this pitch was like concrete. Yeah, we were just good enough. I mean, Flanagan, he loves playing against his old boys. He played really well when he came on. Although Hallis had a good game when he was there. Yeah, I mean, Brian's right. I mean, we were a bit indisciplined in the first half. We've got a tendency to be like that this year. Concentration lapses sometimes when we're playing against teams that we think we should beat, which is not a great attitude to have. But this is the thing with Kiri. He always seems to pull it round, and other than wishing, we've always pulled it back. So yeah, next week, massive game. Obviously York have been slipping by, just getting results, just keeping those 2 points behind. So yeah, massive game next week, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
Fair enough. Doncaster 102, West Wales 6. Liam Harris back on dual reg at Doncaster, doing some good stuff there for them in that game, setting some big records. Workington 22, Whitehaven 24 in the game of the week down in League One. Whitehaven upsetting things again against the near neighbours with a late win. Newcastle 20, North Wales 24 in what was probably a surprise result, let's say. And Coventry 20, Hemel 18 in a game that was maybe closer than some people might have expected, but well done to our friends at the Bears in that one. Yeah, so all that means Bradford and York continue to pull away from the rest. I think it's a 10-point gap now. The race behind them for the remaining playoff places is getting exciting. Oldham, Workington, Whitehaven and Hunslet all have 22 points, and only 3 of those can make the top 5 playoff places. Doncaster and Keighley both have 20 points, so they're well in it. Newcastle now have 16 points, probably because of how many teams there are above them. Might find themselves out of that even at this stage. And North Wales have 13 points now. Scholars have 9. Coventry are up onto 6. Hemel stay on 2, and West Wales stay firmly bottom with a minus 1,236 points difference. It's not a good time for them. Hopefully they will improve in future seasons. Okay, Women's Challenge Cup. Didn't get to catch any of this action, unfortunately, but I hear very impressive Leeds Rhinos performance away at Wigan Warriors. They won 26 points to 8 to book their place in the final, and the Castleford Tigers dispatched of York with relative ease, 48 points to 12. So the final between Leeds and Castleford will be played on Saturday the 4th of August at the Halliwell Jones Stadium in Warrington. It means a bit of a trek over for all the Yorkshire sides involved in those games, but the stadium that they're playing at is a Super League stadium, which I don't think they would have had on offer in Yorkshire, and I think that gives it an element of prestige. So hopefully people do still make the trek. I know Leeds fans in particular have to make 2 trips over the Pennines in as many days. Hopefully with them being daytime fixtures, we might not get as much M62 chaos. We'll see. But yeah, what do you think about? Are you gonna? Do you think it should be a well-supported event even still? Warrington are apparently going to put a big marketing push on and that sort of stuff.
I hope so.
Yep. Okay. State of Origin.
Third. Their fans to get down.
Sorry. Yeah, I think you broke up.
No, you went. All right. Sorry. No, it's fine. It's all right. I hope people can get down to it. I hope people can get down to it.
Okay, you broke up again, so I don't think we know what you said there, but we'll move on to the State of Origin anyway.
Move on.
It finished Queensland 18, New South Wales 12 in Queensland's home game in this year's series. Do you want to take us through the first of the fan reviews?
I'm out on their feet at the end of the game after both.
Right, I don't know what's going on here, Al. I can't hear you at all.
Okay. I can hear you.
Right, okay. Well, I'll run through the fan reviews and then chip in with anything you have to say about the game. Paul O'Brien said, another great Origin game, both teams out on their feet at the end of the game after both teams gave their all. Phil Nadin said, this was an epic game of rugby. Both teams played well, showing some great skills and defensive play. Just a pity New South Wales couldn't quite get the win in the end, but it wasn't for the lack of trying. Lee Whitnell said, another absolute belter, definitely the best 3-game series I've seen. Everything was left out on the pitch on Billy Slater's last Origin outing, despite the fact that he's got a smile you'd love to knock off his smug face with a tyre iron. I was strangely pleased that he got to go out on a win. How about an SLP Origin trip next year? I don't think it's going to happen in the near future, but that would be amazing. Yeah. Did you watch the game? Did you enjoy the series this year?
I did watch it. I wasn't particularly bothered about this game. I must admit, so it was playing in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's reinvigorated the series, hasn't it? It's never good to see one team dominating in terms of winning the complete series year after year. So yeah, it seems to be they always seem to be fiddling with it and. There seem to be crisis merchants about who's, there's some ridiculous thing about should you let, people like Jason Taumalolo and people like that play in it. It's like you've had a good series, just let it play the way it is. There's no need to fiddle with it.
Yeah, I mean Billy Slater had a decent performance on his final game. And really emotional at the end to have got the win. So I felt like Lee, strangely pleased for him watching that. I didn't watch it live. I watched it in between my two sort of trips away during the week, so it was I didn't quite fully absorb the tension of the game and that sort of stuff, but there was still plenty of entertainment. I think Cherry Evans was an inspired returning man to the side. I think he offered a lot more creativity than Ben Hunt had offered, so it's going to be interesting to see if they can maintain the sort of situation for next year for Queensland, because that's going to really lead to, I think, an open, fast, attacking, exciting series again next year. But it was the best series for a good number of years, probably the best series for 6 or 7 seasons. I would suggest,
at least.
Okay, NRL played as well, round 18, loads of backing up, but Denver's a big problem apparently in player welfare. Panthers 12, Sharks 24, Knights 18, Eels 16, Bulldogs 6, Rabbitohs 24, Sam Burgess 199 metres and 3 successful offloads. Tom and George also started in that one. Seagulls 13, Storm 14, Raiders 38, Cowboys 12, Hodgson with a try assist and 40 tackles, Whitehead with 44 tackles, so good hard defensive work from our boys in that one. Broncos 6, Warriors 26, Dragons 16, West Tigers 20, although in that losing effort for the Dragons, James Graham did make 40 tackles, Gareth Witt had a try assist, and Titans 12, Roosters 20. The Rabbitohs on 28 pulled clear at the top, now with a 2-point advantage ahead of the chasing pack, which is led by the Storm, and the Dragons on 26. The Roosters, Panthers, Sharks and Warriors all have 24. The Broncos make up the top 8 with 22. The Raiders and the Tigers are 4 points back, leading the rest of the pack and closing the gap this week. That is all of the results from around the world of rugby league covered. So we will now move on to preview and predictions and let you know about our new sponsor partner for that section of the show. Preview and predictions time now in association with Love Rugby League. Head to loverugbyleague.com for all the latest news, opinion pieces and even more stats on the greatest game. So great to have them on board and supporting the show. Super League, it's round 22 this week. Thursday night's game is the big one between the top two. 7:45 kickoff on Sky for Wigan versus St Helens. And whilst Wigan's fixture list has stacked up like a bit of a Thursday fest to end the season, you can't blame Sky for making sure they had this one covered on the by the TV cameras. What do you think is going to happen, Al?
In summary,